Every man has dreamed of becoming a martial master, if only to uphold justice and loyalty. The life of a hero, exploring the world, and the sounds they make are different from those of normal people. Everyone dreams of living this life, but not everyone succeeds. We see a hammer being lifted. We see a seemingly peaceful city, and a young man hammering something in a forge. The sound spreads through the streets. In them, we see children playing. It's for this reason that boys fantasize even more. The young man checks something and walks towards the gentleman who was behind him. He stops in front of him and says, "Thank you for waiting. Here are the acupuncture needles. This is Tang Mujin, 20 years old, a doctor." The sound that can awaken a boy's dream, turning him into a hero. The man looks at the needle, and a smile breaks out on his face. "You said you were a doctor?" "Yes, sir." "Be my disciple." "What?" That day, Mujin heard the sound of his life changing. A few months ago, a doctor's morning is usually peaceful. You copy medical scrolls until the rooster crows. We see him organizing something and cleaning the place. Someone calls out, "Mujin, time for breakfast." And he finishes the preparations for the day's patients before breakfast. No meeting points, armpit point, skadushi, center of the chest point. He practices something. A quiet life as always, just a little ant bite. "How is it? Still hurt? Wow, it doesn't hurt anymore." Here, a little something for the excellent service. Mujin watches the old man work. "This silence created my father's skills. His acupuncture skills are incredible. It's as gentle as a butterfly landing on you. Someday, I too." "Dad! Dad! Here are the herbs. Will I ever be a doctor on his level?" Mujin runs through the city. "Still taking your medicine?" "Oh, of course." "Mujin, have some meat." "Mujin! Mujin!" Mujin greets everyone who calls his name. But as he walks, looking back, he ends up bumping into someone. Is there a pole in the middle of the street? We see a seemingly irritated man. "Are you walking with your eyes closed or something?" "I'm sorry. It was my fault." "But sometimes." "Really? Then I guess I should teach you a lesson, shouldn't I?" I still dream of being a hero. In a cabin amidst the trees. Another person laughs at Mujin. "I don't believe it. They really did a number on you. This is John Guok, 20 years old, an herb collector. You should have told them to hit the other eye so the colors would match. I think I should teach you a lesson." "Sir, please forgive me this time." "What's up? You want another black eye? You'll look like a blowfish." Mujin, irritated, hits him in the eye. "Crap, my eye! I told you so." Mujin, "Okay. Are you hungry?" asks the other. "Yeah. Want something good? Sure." John Guok pulls out a mushroom. Mujin questions, "A mushroom? Are you still messing with me?" "You don't know when to stop," says John Guok. "No, this is one of the expensive ones. It's a mushroom that lets you experience special kinds of dreams." "Special kinds of dreams?" asks Mujin. "That's right, this mushroom. It can make you the king of kings, or a sage who has transcended," he says, tossing a piece of the mushroom into Mujin's mouth. "At least with me, it made me dream I became a martial artist at the Peak Realm." Mujin is startled. "Peak Realm? I took down over 100 members of the Qinsheng sect in my dream, and I could feel everything. And the mushroom's toxin isn't harmful to the body." Mujin, hearing this, swallows the whole mushroom. "Dude, you can't eat the whole thing." "What's wrong?" asks Mujin. "If just one bite made you dream of that." "Body and sword are one. I am my sword, and my sword is me. I would surely become the sword master," his friend says upon hearing this. "You idiot, the mushroom's effect wasn't supposed to kick in yet." "Whatever, it's your body, so I'm not responsible if something goes wrong." Mujin grabs his shoulder. "Dude, I'm a doctor. I can tell things just by looking," the other says. "You don't know anything, you dummy. Anyway, the trip is gonna hit soon, so let's just wait." "Dude, I'm a doctor." "What is happening?" "Dude, I'm a doctor. I am a doctor." We see what looks like a volcano erupting and Mujin standing at its base. He holds a hammer in his hand. "The sparks hit my skin like butterflies. The sparks formed by the first strike are always wonderful. I, Tang Mujin, have been a blacksmith my entire life, but this beautiful moment always fascinates me." Something catches his attention. "Me, Tang Mujin. My name is Owezi, the unparalleled master of the forge under the heavens." He goes back to forging. "What? Was it the pressure? What a strange dream, to be a doctor? I must be tired. No, I have to pull myself together. I will forge the 5 master swords requested by the king of the Aiways. It will be my finest work. I'll pour my whole being into it, he says, holding the sword. By UAZ. In sequence, we see some swords. Zan, Lo, Juki, Xin Shi, Yuxiang, Sung Sun, the 5 master swords forged between heaven and man for over 20 years. Behold their glory. For having fulfilled the dreams of man, the orders of heaven are to taste the celestial peach wine and welcome the new immortal. He lands. A great day, O Yazi, the day you reached paradise. We see a flower petal. It brushes against a young woman's eye. The drink tips over and spills on his head. Mujin is on the ground. I thought you said you were the best doctor in all of Shendu. Mujin, hearing this, widens his eye. We see the Tang family's sign. I trusted the governor's recommendation. I will ensure that this doctor who doesn't even know how to perform acupuncture retires. The person leaves the place angrily. Mujin gets up. He's a jerk, just like all government officials. Guak! What just happened? My head is killing me, Guak says. Just coming down from the trip now. Can't you see the sun is almost setting? You were spouting some nonsense, zonked out from the mushroom. And then out of nowhere, you said you needed to go back to the clinic with me. We see him talking. I am Uazi. I will transcend through the forge. Who but me can forge this sword? Guak continues to speak. It's to be expected since you scarfed the whole thing down. It's a miracle you returned to normal without any issues. Forget it. It's over now. Don't tell him I gave you the mushroom, Mujin says. Got it? Thanks. As he walks away, Guak comments. Man, that idiot. Anyway, my head hurts. Was that really a dream? Dad, I'm home. Sorry, I'm late. I went to get the herbs and... Dad? Mujin, you're back. Yes, but who was that guy who just left? Suddenly, he looks at his father's needle. And something starts to happen, causing him terrible pain and supposed memories to flood his mind. What is this? Such a strong headache. My head is throbbing. There's something else besides the waves of pain. What is this emotion? Frustration? Over what? Oh, Jean, is something wrong? Does your head hurt? He answers his father. It's nothing. The guy from just now. He's a military assistant to the governor, but he said my acupuncture is too painful, that my needles were too thick. Mujin says, really? I tested them this morning, his father continues. Let's see, where are my old needles? Look, I bought the new needles 2 weeks ago, since mine were bent. Mujin thinks, I heard something strange coming from the needles. Didn't I hear something like that this morning? Mujin, are you okay? As his father asks, he says, this frustration is uncontrollable. I'm so frustrated. His father continues, headache and chills. You must have a cold, it's too noisy, he thinks. Let me get you some syrup, his father was saying, but Mujin grabs his hand. The sound that awakens heroes. Dad, this? What the heck? This is a needle. I heard it that day. We see fire coming from his eyes and a glow from his hand. We see his furrowed brow. As he stares at the needles, he thinks, whenever I see a low-quality item, it makes me angry. Until yesterday, I couldn't tell if it was good or bad. But suddenly, because of this ability, he starts looking all around, seeing items and vendors advertising products. This seems to give him a massive headache. Everything seems cheap and worthless. It's driving me crazy. But, still, just looking at this makes me feel better. This is the pride of Sichuan, a needle made by the blacksmith Suki. Wait, how do I know this? This new needle must have also been made by blacksmith Siuki. So why do I feel different? I hope it's nothing serious. We see smoke coming from a chimney. Mujin approaches the place. We see new, shining swords. He observes contentedly. This is it. The moment I held it, all my problems disappeared. What a beautiful creation. There's no way blacksmith Siuki's work would change. Wait. Is it because of that dream that I'm able to recognize the true value of a master? And also, we see the old man from his memory. He places a sword in the heat. Somehow, I feel like I can see the forging process just by looking. Could it be that because of that dream, I gained an understanding I didn't have? It makes no sense. A dream is a dream. Learning from a dream? That's impossible. If it were true, a martial artist of the peak realm? Thus, he enters the place. I have to confirm. I have to go to blacksmith Siuki and find out what happened to me. What? You didn't like the needle? I may not be as good as my father, but I've lived in this forge for 20 years. Don't treat me like an amateur, says Siuki Jisyoung, son of blacksmith Siuki. I never said you lacked skill. Mujin starts to think. The old blacksmith Suyuki retired. What a shame. There are only a few more of his works left, so this needle has to be made by him. Something catches his attention. The blacksmith continues to speak. I know it's hard to match my father, but even the people from the clinic are bad-mouthing me. So with your sharp eye, why don't you find things that were made by my father? Let's see if you're such a hotshot. Teach me what I'm lacking to be like my father. I'm sure you won't be able to tell the difference. Mujin appears with swords in his arms. The blacksmith observes. What? In an instant, he picked out things made by my father. Is the difference that stark? Thinking this, he says, most people overlook them because of their simple design. You've got a sharp eye, kid. Mujin thinks he would have given me a lecture if I couldn't do it. Yet he admitted it. Thanks to him, I'm convinced it wasn't just a dream. The blacksmith begins to speak. At first, I thought you were just an annoying customer. I understand why you didn't like my needle. I even asked you to find things made by my father, and you managed to find them all. Your eye is better than mine. With you, even if I hammered tirelessly, I would only create something mediocre. So there is only one answer. You have to create something yourself. Mujin is startled. Me? He observes the forge in front of him. If you think it's impossible, I'll make another one myself. But you should give it a try, Mujin says. Right? When else would I get the chance to act like a blacksmith? So, let's do this. All right? Mujin picks up a bellows. Let's start with the basics. I went for it, trusting the knowledge I gained in that dream, but will it work? We see what appears to be hot metal. Mujin raises the hammer. It's like telling a patient to make his own medicine. He clamps the item and strikes with his hammer. But still, I want to hammer. The blacksmith watches in amazement. Mujin, with the hammer in his hand, moves it towards the object and strikes it with force. It's working. It's really working. We see the blacksmith completely stunned. I didn't think he'd be able to do it, but his hammer strikes are perfect. Not like a doctor, it's in a natural way, like my father who spent his entire life forging. And this sound, it rings like a clear musical note. Am I seeing the reincarnation of Uezi? Is this just talent? No, it's even more than that. We see a blade taking shape. More, show me more. Strike, adjust, temper, sharpen the blade. Show how the sheath and the hilt are made. Make the complete weapon that your mind envisioned. Mujin says, Blacksmith Suyuki, melt this piece. Confused, the blacksmith asks, what? Melt this? Yes, that was enough for a warm-up. Now it's time to make a needle. The blacksmith stares at him, shaking his head. We see the place at full steam. After that, the tip of a needle shines like something precious. We see it piercing someone's skin. It doesn't hurt? Really? General, are you serious? How does it not hurt? We see the man also receiving needles. Huh, my back pain is gone? Come on, how did you get better so fast? The other man also receives one. It really works. He actually put a needle in, the general says. But of course, the one who was angry comments, I was just having a bad day. Wow, this is miraculous, truly miraculous. People start to comment, how long is the line? This doctor is going to get rich. We see a huge line outside. People walk through the area. From above, we see the entire city. On a nearby mountain, we see two people walking along a dirt path. We also see a sculpture with a boat passing in front of it, and the same people passing by another location. At the end of a small road, we see a humble residence with some people sitting on its stairs. The two people who were traveling approach that place. Your back hurts? You should have visited the Tang family clinic before leaving the city? You think I didn't try? The line was too long? I couldn't even get inside the clinic. They comment on this as they pass by a man. They ignore each other, and the two enter the place. The man then begins his journey. The clinic is open. Please wait for your turn. We see everyone in silence, and then a commotion breaks out. Hey, do you know how long I've been waiting? Who do you think you are, cutting the line? And you're ignoring me? Do you know who I am? Huh, what's all this commotion? As soon as Mujin arrives, he finds a sword pointed at a man's neck. The young man, who had heard about the Tang clan, is holding the other hostage. A sadistic smile appears on his face. Mujin, observing, thinks a fight between martial artists. If you're eager to find out, let me show you firsthand. We see blood flying, and Mujin running towards the injured man. He tries to stop the bleeding, but something catches his attention. On the man's chest, written with the sword, we see the name Eccentric Doctor. Mujin observes this while thinking, With just a single strike, he cut the skin without harming the bone or muscle. He's a martial master. And that title, eccentric doctor, I've heard it from somewhere before. You're a big man. Don't cry like a child. Crying over a little scratch? I barely touched you. If you apply a little ointment, you'll be fine soon. Mujin is startled. If this is a good clinic, looking at the man, he thinks. Now I remember the doctor killer, the eccentric doctor Li Yi-sung. We see Mujin's father. Watching my father work always makes me think that he may not be the best doctor in the world, but he is a resilient tree that protects this place. He may not be the fastest, but he works hard. That's what I learned from watching my father work. This guy is the complete opposite of my father, eccentric doctor, a martial artist at the peak realm who ravaged these lands. One of the top 3 doctors under the heavens, an eccentric who decides the fate of others with his sword and medical skills. They say his fickle killings do not discriminate between good and evil. However, he is a serial killer who has taken the lives of dozens of innocent doctors in Jianghu. My father is in danger. Mujin stares at the man's back. This is my father's training ground. Dad, someone grabs the boy's shoulder. Mujin. It can't be helped, says Jin Song, an instructor from the Qinshang sect. Hold on, what do you mean? Well, couldn't the sect leader stop him? Even my master would refuse to stand against him. But that guy is a criminal. The man continues. My master owes his life to the eccentric doctor. Mujin, hearing this, thinks, the eccentric doctor saved the life of the Qinshang sect leader. Finding himself helpless, he falls to his knees on the ground. Dad! Don't worry because of his negative reputation. From what I've seen, the eccentric doctor is a bit strange. He's not an evil person. Suddenly, the eccentric doctor opens the door. Mujin and the other man stare in shock. The doctor walks with confidence. Mujin begins to analyze him and says, his clothes are clean. Thank goodness. Hey, after talking with Dr. Tang, I heard there was a very skilled blacksmith nearby. Do you have any idea who that might be? Yes, I think I know. Really? Take me to him, all right? We see the hilt of the man's sword. Mujin staring. Hey, aren't you going to move? I'm busy. Yes, sir. We arrive at the blacksmith's place. So you're telling me this brat made it? Yes. The eccentric doctor starts laughing. I'd heard that all sorts of strange things happen in Sichuan. But a doctor's son knows about forging. Who is this? The blacksmith asks, whispering, and Mujin replies. A martial artist. All right, get to work then. It's been a while since I had a good laugh. You said your name was Tang Mujin. Make me 30 acupuncture needles then. Here's the payment. A gold coin? Thank you, sir. Why don't you get something to eat while you wait? They'll be ready before sunset. The startled man asks, before sunset? Still today? Yes, replies Mujin. Still skeptical, the doctor questions again. Not in months. Even the most renowned blacksmiths take months. Holding the coin, Mujin says, but I'll make them today. It's not a low-quality product. You don't even have any ready. And you still think you can do it before sunset. But you're a doctor's son. I think your eyes are bigger than your stomach, Mujin replies. I'll start right now. A better quality than mine, fresh from the forge. Don't worry. I'll really get it done. He'll really get it done, the blacksmith also says. A silence falls over the place. A cloth flutters, and we see the man's sword. Mujin thinks, I forgot how dangerous he was. The eccentric doctor sits down. We'll see. You'd better keep your word. Right. From the chimney we see an explosion. The fire rages inside the furnace. As he watches the two work, forging acupuncture needles is an exhausting process that requires creating many of them and picking only the best ones, then making them very thin. Dr. Tang's needles couldn't have been made by sheer luck. I will see it with my own eyes. He has a very good physique for a doctor. Maybe something catches his attention. A noise spreads through the place. We see Mujin's hammer. The eccentric doctor watches as he strikes the hammer. His eyes widen. Mujin works with vigor. The iron goes through several processes, from being cut, bent, and hammered again. Mujin is extremely focused. The eccentric doctor is impressed by what he's seeing. Thank you for waiting. Here are the needles you requested. After that, we see Mujin questioning. What? You want me to become your disciple? Why? Why not? I don't think you should stay in this small town as a doctor for the rest of your life. Don't you like the idea? Mujin replies, well, it's not that I'm not interested, but I have things to do at the clinic. I was even getting used to the forge. You said you want to be my master, but I don't know what I can learn from you. The man smiles and says, "What can you learn from me?" He moves his sword, makes a gesture with his finger, and says, "There are 2 things I can teach you." And what would those be? We see a cut on a rock, needles in the blacksmith, and he concludes martial arts and medicine. Aren't you interested? Mujin starts to think, an artist of the peak realm who is also one of the best doctors, being my master? It's an opportunity to learn martial arts and medicine. However, due to his reputation, if I become his disciple, even the Qin sect couldn't mistreat the clinic. But, sir, why did you make me this offer? He says. It's convenient to travel with such a skilled and fast blacksmith. Mujin questions. Just for that? He replies. In return, I will teach you martial arts and medicine. Isn't that more of a contract than a master-disciple relationship? The doctor says. If you prefer to call it that, it can be. What would you do with a patient with weak qi if their innards are cold and they start to shiver? How would you treat them? Mujin replies, we must treat the imbalance of their fluids first, so I would prescribe a medicine made of poria and licorice root. The doctor says, good, you passed the test. If you're smart enough to have memorized the Shanghan Lun and Neijing texts, you can learn martial arts. Mujin questions again. What does that have to do with martial arts? The doctor says. Do you think only strength matters for martial arts? You would understand if you had ever taught an idiot. You could give them the best teachings and they wouldn't realize what they were. Those kinds of people just swing their swords their whole lives and stay stuck in the 3rd or 2nd class. Likewise, these idiots can't understand the superiority of these acupuncture needles. So, sir, do you think I will become a first-class martial artist? The man says, first class? The fact that a student surpasses his master has more to do with the master's skills than the student's talent. Do you understand what I'm saying? Mujin arrives at his house. That means, at the very least, I will. He walks through the place while thinking. Reach the peak realm. Peak realm. While jumping in celebration, he ends up twisting his foot and falls to the ground. His father comes to his side. Dad, I'm sorry. I was late. He bows to his father, who holds him by the shoulder. Dad, are you okay? I was so scared you had been ended by the eccentric doctor. When he entered my training room, I thought he was just someone curious. Are you okay? Mujin replies. Yes, he wasn't as dangerous as the rumors say. Yes, Jin Song also told me that was the case. It's good that you're safe. However, I thought you were just going to take him to the forge. Why did you take so long? Well, he wants me to be his disciple. I have until tomorrow to decide. I guess he's quite eccentric indeed to offer me this out of the blue. Dad, why did you stop? His father starts running. Dad? Suddenly, he comes back. In his hand, we see money. What's this silver for? You must go. What? I should go, but Dad, we're short-handed these days. His title is eccentric doctor. I'm sure he's just messing with me. His father raises his hand and says, the clinic will be fine. This will be your only chance to leave, Mujin. He widens his eyes. I thought my father was a resilient tree that protected his city. His words made me realize something. That my father was also once young and full of dreams. Second day since I started learning martial arts, I managed to circulate my ki through my body for the first time. A sensation my body has never felt. 3 days, 4, it's still weak, but the ki is undoubtedly growing through my body. I feel stronger. No, it's like I've taken a step forward. This is your only opportunity to leave. Thank you, Dad. We see something falling from the tree and hitting his head. Already homesick? His master is on the branch. He replies, no. I think my ki has increased since yesterday. The eccentric doctor lands on the ground and says now things get fun. Mujin says, as you said, I think I have talent. The doctor, hearing this, asks, talent? Well, you're not bad at all. The speed at which you gather ki is above average, however. I learned to circulate ki, which people usually take 10 days to do, in just 2. I'm sure my dream blessed me with talent. The master throws his sword. Mujin secures it. We had a stick. Li Sung holds it while saying, if you're so confident, let's see how you interact with the sword. I'll teach you something. If you can cut my clothes, I'll carry you on my back until we leave Sichuan province. Thus, he faces Mujin. Really? He asks, staring at his reflection on the blade. But this is a real sword. It's sharp. You could meet your end. How could I? But maybe with the skills I've been training. Maybe. A sneak attack when he's not paying attention? Mujin launches an attack. Securing the first blow. You think you've become a tough guy just by training for 10 days? Mujin attacks with his sword. We see him going towards the master. And the blade colliding with the wood. It's just a stick, but not a single scratch. Li Xung says, "Grit your teeth." Grit. We see an energy around the stick. Is that waves? No. A current? No. This is much bigger than that. Mujin is thrown backward. Is there a pole in the middle of the street? He ends up vomiting on the ground. Li Xung says, "How does it feel receiving the rest of my ki for the first time?" He starts to reply, This isn't fair. This isn't just about who has it, but who wins. Maybe. I don't have that much ki, so I avoid battles that depend on it. But martial arts aren't that simple. And why are you frustrated? You're a doctor. Is there someone you hold a grudge against? Mujin replies, "You said you would turn me into a peak realm martial artist, but if the amount of ki defines your power, even if I start, I'll never make it." The eccentric doctor hits him on the head. Even if your ki is weak and your movements are slow, there's still a way to be a martial master. When you received my ki just now, you tried to force your ki into the sword and then gave up, right? That's a good logical path. Now second round, I won't use ki this time. Mujin looks distressed. Then, his expression changes. He adjusts his footing and charges into the attack. I'm going all out. His blade clashes against the stick. It worked, he thinks. But we see 3 points of impact, one on his forehead, one on his neck, and one on his chest. As he passes Li Xung, he falls to the ground. Even without ki, you would have been done for 3 times. The speed at which you gather your ki isn't that fast. And you weren't blessed with the ability to exhale ki. But, you clearly have your strengths. Your sense for ki is sharp, and you use it quickly and precisely. Even though your sword skills are third-rate, the fact that you instinctively imbued your ki into the sword is a second-class martial artist's move or better. With enough time, looking for a path, it might end up being your way to improve. This is great for just 10 days of training. That means that I'm a second-realm martial artist? I'm a genius, the doctor says. I shouldn't have praised you. Suddenly they hear a noise. An animal. No, it's a person. We see someone walking through the area as they watch. Observing the young man and his attire, Li Xung says, 3 ties? What's a sect leader doing here? Mujin says, sect leader, that means he's a martial artist at the peak realm. Thus we see them talking. An unidentifiable illness, the man says. Yes, we've had several passings in our village, so I was trying to get to the neighboring village to find a doctor, but it's very fortunate that you're willing to accompany me. The one saying this is the village leader, Ju. Li Xung questions, even if you're bad with directions, you spent a day and a half wandering on a 4-hour journey. I had never left Zhu village. Mujin also says, good thing you didn't get sick. Yes, my master and I were lucky. It's been a month since the people from the beggar's village started getting sick. We thought it was just a little cough, but then even more people got sick. Half the village fell ill and 20 have already passed on. I thought about gathering the villagers who wanted to leave the village. But I can't leave the village and abandon the people I've lived with, so I helped the sick along with my master. Originally, the village doctor helped us care for the patients, but when we ran out of medicine, we see his memory. Take care of them until I return with herbs. I'll be back in a few days. He continues speaking, but I never heard from him again. It must be difficult to get the necessary herbs. Thank you, doctors, for helping me find my way. We've arrived. Come in. This is the guardian of Zhu village, beggar collector Hong Yun. The group enters the place. We see a boy lying in terrible condition. Mujin analyzes his pulse. And looking at his hand, he finds it extremely sweaty. Thus, he starts to think, I checked his pulse for a while, but he's sweating a lot with a weak pulse. It's beating very fast. His ears are hot, but his hands are cold. Is the heat going to his head? Mujin asks, has he vomited recently? The other man says, yes, he said his head hurt and he was dizzy. The eccentric doctor just observes. Mujin says, damp fever, rapid pulse, irregular ki flow, poor breathing, and vomiting are symptoms of a plague. What would be your diagnosis and prescription? Asks Li Xung. It's similar to the summer heat flu, but it's different, plus it has a peculiar odor. However, if we leave him like this, the heat in his head will blind him. So, it would be appropriate to use acupuncture on his foot, forehead, eyebrows, and the top of his head. For medicine, it would be good to use ophiopagan, trichosanthes, platycodon, and fritillary herbs. Li Xung smiles upon hearing this. So you've read the Neijing text thoroughly. Now, begin the acupuncture. What? We see Mujin preparing. He holds a needle in one hand. This is the key point of the foot. It's my first time doing acupuncture. Will I be able to do it right? His master approaches him and points his fingers towards the boy's foot. Do you think learning to use ki is only for martial arts? For a doctor, your sense of ki is your greatest blessing. Mujin's eyes widen. With ki, he can visualize the boy completely. His ki is guiding mine. I can see everything clearly. And that deadly qui. Li Sung says, you felt that deadly qui, so use acupuncture and see how he reacts. Mujin moves his needle. We see an energy around his body as he analyzes the boy. The eccentric doctor observes him during the process. Mujin wipes the sweat from his forehead. He looks at the boy. Nothing happens, and he appears to become apprehensive. But suddenly, we see something come out of the boy's mouth. Mujin's eyebrows rise. The sunlight enters the room and hits the body of the resting young man. Everyone watches in silence. Mujin sighs. Thank you, sir. Li Sung places a hand on his shoulder. Sir! Today you must have learned several things. But seeing your satisfied face now proves that you will be a great doctor. Outside the house, we see someone in the distance. Dr. Yon? Mujin asks as he walks outside with another person. When the illness started, he used his own money to help the sick. He said that only herbs from a distant place work, so he gave all his money to the herb collectors. He's a good man, comments Mujin. I agree. Everyone in the village pooled their money and gave it to him to buy more herbs. But since herb collectors don't come to a small village so often, he went to the mountains to get more herbs. Personally, I didn't like that Jusan just walked around all day. But if he hadn't found you guys, my son would be. My son's improvement has made me very happy. You can stay here. It may be empty, but I hope it's comfortable. Rest well. The two enter the place. There, Li Yi-sung begins to analyze. He looks at what appears to be a wardrobe. He observes the table. And on the floor he finds a doll. He stares at it. The doll seems to catch his attention. He picks it up and places it on the table. Mujin questions. He's a good doctor, right? Li Sung, confused, asks Dr. Yon. It seems so. We'll meet him soon, Mujin says. I don't know why this disease ended up in a village full of kind people. Look at all this food and gifts. Just eat a little and give it back before we leave. There's no reason to stuff ourselves, says Li Sung. I understand. Do you think this disease is a tough one? Well, I know similar diseases, but there's something strange about this one. It must be one I've never seen before. What do you mean? Are there diseases that one of the best doctors doesn't know? The eccentric doctor says. Boy, there are more things I don't know compared to what I do know. Every time I learn something, 5 more things I didn't know appear. I thought you knew all the diseases in the world. Of course not. If I knew all the diseases, I wouldn't be wandering the land. Mujin asks again. What are you talking about? Is there a type of disease you want to find a cure for? A cure? His master begins to say. There once was one, but I already know the cure for it, but it was too late. Late. Mujin turns his face. Something catches his attention, crying. Outside, we see no one. The village is truly completely isolated from everything. Mujin thinks, we need to use medicine, but we don't know the diagnosis. If only we knew what it is, we could. If only we knew. Suddenly, the eccentric doctor says, my wife and daughter passed from an illness. One day, my daughter and wife had a severe fever, and red spots appeared all over their bodies. I took them to a doctor. I even took them to a doctor from a neighboring village known for his skills. But none of them knew the cure. While I was trying to find another doctor, they passed away just 3 days after getting sick. Mujin says, what a thing. I pray they are well in the afterlife. Li Sung continues. No need to pray. It's not such a depressing story. In fact, you'd laugh if you knew what happened next. I went crazy after losing them. I left my hometown on an impulse as if something was guiding me. 10 days later, I arrived in a small village. It took so long because I was walking like a beggar. It should have only taken a day to get there. That village had its own doctor. I still remember how he looked just like a rat, someone you can't trust, the typical doctor of a small village. I don't know why, but I told him about their symptoms. Guess what he said? Just give me 5 coins. They'll be cured if they take the medicine in time. I had dozens of silver bars, not just coins. With that money, I could have paid for several weddings for my daughter. The reason they passed was not because I didn't have money. It was because I only found bad doctors. No, it was because those doctors didn't know what he knew. Have you ever heard a funnier story? That's why I became a doctor, to gather medical knowledge from all over the world. After 30 years, I don't even remember what they looked like. He once again stares at the doll. Mujin looks out the window while thinking. His laughter, deep down, had a tone of crying. Sir, I'm going to walk around the village to find the source of the disease. The source? All right, I'll go with you. If you slack off, you're a dead man, Mujin replies. Don't worry about that. Thus, we see a pig. The young man analyzes the pigsty. He looks at the water well, observes some kind of warehouse, and at a certain point asks, is this old man Zone's house the first one to get sick? It is. Hot diseases, cold diseases cool the body. In contrast, hot diseases warm the body. Even though they may show different symptoms, they are caused by a deadly key created in a dark, cold, and smelly place. However, neither the pigsty, the well, nor the warehouse showed any signs. Plagues usually spread from outside the starting point. He asks, just to know, was he the first to get sick and right after? His neighbors too? The chief asks. Was it in that order? Well, those in the western part of the village got sick first, so yes, those in the west got sick faster than those in the east. Plus, children tend to be more prone. Mujin, hearing this, thinks, the clues don't make sense. Then he questions, is there any difference between the west and east parts? That must be the reason why it started there. The man replies, well, I heard there was more yang energy in the west and more yin in the east. Mujin says, it's probably not that. I came from the east, but we didn't see the plague on the way, and why would children get sick faster? All children do is play with each other. The man replies, well, they usually play in the stream in the west. Mujin thinks, what? Maybe it's the water. There's a well in the east. That's why they were fine. Thinking this, he questions, has the east well always been dry? No, it only happens during a certain time in the spring drought. So, does the start of the plague correlate with the start of the disease? The old man replies, yes, they happened around then. Mujin seems to have an idea. Maybe it's because everyone used the stream water because the well dried up. It makes sense, since those living in the west would have more access, getting sick first. We see the said stream. Mujin crouches down and analyzes the place. He observes the water and thinks, it doesn't seem to have anything strange. There are no bubbles or bad smells, but the clues point to the stream. Is there another way to see the condition of the stream? The two observe the young man. Mujin drinks a little of the water and sits in a meditation position. He begins to circulate his energy. Have you ever seen a doctor meditate? The old man replies. Let's leave him be. We see Mujin's organs. In the middle of his body, we see the deadly key. It's the same deadly key. Realizing this, he jumps to his feet. I figured it out. Let's go. Among the mountains, we see them walking, following the stream. They pass by a waterfall and advance towards somewhere. Mujin seems to feel something. Wait, do you guys smell that too? The other replies. Yes, it's getting stronger. We're close. They begin to approach a kind of fog. The three, upon entering it, stop. Mujin, covering his nose, thinks, even the trees are dying. We're close. The three continue to advance. Something catches Mujin's attention as he comes across a suspicious place. Is the ground rotting? My goodness. Is there something buried here? There are many passings where we store the herbs, passings of plants and animals. Despite that, the warehouse always had a comforting smell. I loved that smell. A smell of the end that saves lives. A smell of helping someone. We see him digging. But here it only smells of demise. Demise that spreads more demise. Who? Why? Mujin says, let's get them away from the stream. The old man jumps next to the leader. Master, look at this. Someone cut and even burned them. Poisoned bodies cause illness even with little contact. It doesn't bring an instant end like poisonous plants or types of venoms. Whoever did this knew the power of a poisoned body that causes a slow demise. Doing it on purpose. At the same time, the well dried up. It would be an extermination. They hear something. Someone approaches from behind. We see a man covering his face, with a bag in his hand, dripping blood, and a knife in the other. What are you doing with something I worked so hard on? Dr. Yon? It can't be. Dr. Yon? They would know that a poisoned body would do this and still put the village in this situation, all to take their money. He's the culprit, a demon in person who disguises himself as a kind doctor. And to think that his greed, could have wiped out the entire Jew village. You monster. And to have no shame even after being discovered. I'm going to end him. This is your doing. You spread the disease and pretended to care for the sick. the doctor observes. I was nice the whole time. I just wanted to get some reward in the end. Reward? Reward? Do you know how many people passed? The carcass the old man threw at the doctor is split in half. The old man is startled and the doctor smiles. Why the heck would I care? 2 men appear by his side. All I care about is who messed up my business. So, get their bodies. It could be today or another day. But I was thinking of putting more bodies in the grave. You've been chosen, you worthless beggars. The old man glares at the men. You monsters. The men start to get scared. How dare you do this to the guardian of the beggars sect, when I, the mad beggar collector, am here in person. A pressure spreads, the doctor thinks. Guardian? Halnyun? Hey, Dr. Yan, I thought they were just weaklings. What's a guardian doing here? The doctor says. I have no idea. The guardian prepares himself. Hey, brats, I'm going to count to 10. The only one who deserves this is the one responsible. Dr. Yeon, I don't want any more passings in the village. So, make the right choice. Mujin stares at him as he counts. 1. Beggar collector, to paralyze his enemy with just his mouth. Dr. Tang, you must flee. What? Flee? Flee. I will throw you beyond the stream, so run as fast as you can. Don't look back and tell the people of the village what's happening. Sorry to bother you again, but please. Mujin says, you two are a leader and a guardian. Martial artists at the Peak Realm. You could easily. Peak Realm? Mujin thinks, they aren't. He notices the old man trembling. Anyway, my master and I will fight. It's just 2 beggars and a doctor. It's now or never. Would you rather fight the whole village? 4. He intends to fight to the end. Why? He's a beggar and weak. Why would he go so far? Mujin says, and if we run together, my master is a Peak Realm martial artist. If we make it to the village. 5. The leader grabs Mujin and says, we can't protect you. Please protect the village with your master. We spent our whole lives in this village, but we were never ashamed of it. The generosity of the villagers kept us alive. 6.
My master told me when the time comes, we must fight for them.
7. If we run now, our debt won't disappear. Get them. You only live once. The old man prepares himself. All right, let's try. The leader, holding Mujin, starts running. Please, doctor. The men jump on the old man. The leader throws Mujin far away. Run! Run? But what about you two? Should I help? The enemy doesn't seem very strong. Yes. If I fight alongside them, we'll win. A cut appears in front of Mujin. We see one of the men attacking. Mujin's eyes widen. As he falls, watching the fight, the leader looks at him. Mujin runs. The leader can fully focus on the battle. In the middle of the woods, we see Mujin running. It's not wrong that I ran away. I'm just fulfilling their request. I must pass the message to save the village. Nonsense. I'm running away. The beggar collector and the red beggar are going to perish. What can I do? When I just started learning martial arts. This wouldn't have happened if I were a master in the Peak Realm. We see him panting. He remembers the image of the 3. Something seems to stir within Mujin. But the red beggar made the choice to stay. Even though he wasn't a Peak Realm master, his feet move. And he looks back. We hear heavy breathing amidst the trees. Mujin is running. Running desperately. Running with hatred in his eyes. Once, I helped a child who was being mistreated by kids from the Kinsheng sect. I got beaten up that day, but I felt proud of that pain. I felt like a martial artist fighting for justice. Now, I can't help but think that if this path were a little longer, or that the fight is already over, but if I run away now, I'll be running away from everything I've lived for. Behind a tree, he watches the fight. The 2 beggars are giving it their all. They're already badly injured. What should I do? We see the 2 cornered. They are trapped between the 2 men trying to end them. The red beggar faces his opponent, who watches him, holding his sword and smiling. He then advances. A dog that barks doesn't bite. The beggar defends himself using his staff, but the 2 attack together and one of them finds an opening. We see the attack and the frightened beggar. Despite this, he manages to dodge. He leans his body back. Not bad for a beggar. Now, let's see if you can dodge this. Despite his jumps, he is hit in the leg. His staff is also attacked. The man prepares another blow. Jusen! Shouts the old man. Hold on and get up. An attack comes towards the old man. Where are you looking, old man? He manages to dodge and jumps back. Are you going to play dirty until the end? It's better than perishing. It's much better than being evil like you. You're all going to perish anyway. Just give up, old man. Or do you want your disciple to be dismembered and turned into fertilizer? It's ugly to see an old man clinging to life. The master looks at a piece of wood and then looks forward. He stares at his disciple. Give up? Never, he shouts as he jumps towards the piece of wood on the ground. How dare you? The man tries to hit him, but he dodges by rolling on the ground. Just perish. As he runs, he looks back. The red beggar is still being pressured. Meanwhile, the man jumps on top of him. The old man would grab his hand, while dodging the attacks. He seems to have thought of something. We see the image of the two together. With the sand in his hand, he prepares himself, and throws it towards the opponent. After that, he jumps on the man. Great, you finally accepted your fate. We see the impact of a blow. The red beggar is startled, and looks back. The axe leaves the old man's body, but he continues to hold the man tightly. Hongju-san? Now! Let me go! The man screams as he strikes the old man with his axe. Ju-san, now! It's time to pay back for the food. The red beggar jumps towards the man. The old man watches, but we see the other opponent running after the beggar. He prepares his sword for a strike, but a rock hits him. We see Mujin. You darned, doctor! Head, smashing stick. The beggar lands the blow. After being hit, everything is quiet for a moment, and the man, along with the old man, fall to the ground. The beggar rests his staff on the ground. Mujin watches him. You should have run. You must be eager for your end. I'm going to cut you into little pieces. Before that happens, we see something arriving at the scene. The young man observes in surprise, as the eccentric doctor stops in front of him. You walked quite a long way to find the cause of the disease. As he says this, the man in front of him is cut into pieces. Sir! After that, we see the red beggar with his master. The eccentric doctor observes and asks, Are they behind this? Mujin replies, No. Dr. Yun, he's the culprit. This one. Li Ixong throws him to the ground. You created the plague. Why? Mujin, angry, says, Why? He did it for money. The doctor begins to plead. Please have mercy. Money wasn't your real motive, was it? What's the real reason? The doctor begins. I see you know something, sir. Please spare my life. I will give you a cultivation medicine that exceeds the value of anything in the village. Have you ever heard of the black peony herb? Mujin is surprised to hear the name. The black peony herb blooms with the negative energy of the world. Even though it's worse than the famous 1,000-year snow ginseng or the great rejuvenation pill, it's just as famous as them. This is the flower of heroes. The doctor continues. I will give you this branch for my life. The two are startled to see the doctor pointing behind him. In a cave, we see a glow coming out. Inside, we see the herb. It's the black peony herb. You want to trade your life for an herb that took several others? The eccentric doctor holds Mujin. He's not trying to trade his life. He knows that if a normal person harvests the herb, they will perish from the deadly energy within it. It grows by feeding on demise. That's why he gathered so many bodies, and he intended to use the villagers' bodies to feed the flower, ours too. Or maybe he wanted to buy time and come up with another plan. Maybe he was going to say he had prepared this for us and poison us later. That's not it. The black peony flower has to be prepared and harvested in a very specific way. I just thought of preparing it to gift to you. Is that so? You seem to know a lot for a doctor from a small village? It's just something I learned. But unfortunately for you, I'm not an ordinary guy, he says, holding the herb. How? Just by touching it with your hands, you should have perished. Dr. Yun's head is cut off. After being severed, we see it fall to the ground. I decide whether I live or die. Thank you.